Hi everyone, welcome back to the garden. Today I wanted to share with you how you can actually save money planting your garden. I think it is one of the most common misconceptions about gardening, and there are people on both sides of the spectrum. There are people who say you will save money when you're gardening, and there are people who will say you will spend more money than you can save gardening. And I think in some cases both are true. So if you want to save money, there's a few things you can do. In the last 3 or 4 years, we have been saving our own seeds. This means that as plants come up and they go to seed, we harvest and save the seeds as well as the fruit and the vegetables that we're going to eat. Well, we certainly aren't perfect with this yet. There are a lot of plants that are really easy to save seed from, and I think it's often a forgotten thing. Along with saving seed with things like our garlic here, we will replant some of our garlic in the fall, and so we will just have a constant replenish of garlic every year. Another option you have if you are not able to save seed or if you're having trouble with a certain variety of seed is buying plants later in the season. Now, we planted all of our garden already. It's finished planting, and in Matt fashion, he picked up more plants, which I was a little upset about at first, but he just wants to make sure we have plenty of produce growing in the garden, so I can't be too upset. And I really wasn't too upset when I heard how much he spent. He picked up 96 tomato plants, 48 pepper plants, and he left with the store with a $100 bill and still came home, and I think he bought fertilizer. So I'm not sure exactly how much he spent, but he just went to our local Fleet Farm. It's June 15th today, so a little later in our season than we typically like to be planting. For a lot of people, starting their plants later in the season, they feel is counterproductive, that you're not going to get enough of a harvest. But the truth of it is, you just have to be a little more open-minded that you will be harvesting a little later in the season than maybe your neighbors will. So in theory, we're only planting our tomato plants 2 to 3 weeks past the recommended start date, depending on where your area is, where we are here in Minnesota. So these are just a few ways that you can save money planting your garden this year or maybe preparing for next. Don't be afraid to garden and worry about it costing you too much, because when we first started gardening, it started with just the tradition. We had done it with family for so long, we wanted to continue that tradition, and then it became a money saver for us, a way that we could have some things on the shelf and save a little bit of money, and that has continued to be the case since then. Now, to tease Matt a little, we're going to get planting. He and Evan were out here planting most of these tomatoes and a few of the peppers, so they've already got a great start. Now, the reason he purchased some is because our tomatoes are about, the ones we start from seed, mostly about this tall and not really growing much, and the concern is, what if we don't get enough? Same with the peppers, about the same size. This cage doesn't want to stay today. The peppers are about the same size, and he just wants to make sure we have some. So we're going to get in what we can today because it's already June 15th and we need to get growing. A lot of you have asked for an update on how the garden is doing, so I'll give that to you as well. But the big tomatoes here that we planted, these we purchased from a family member, those are doing great. Almost all of them are doing really well. The transplants that we moved, they were growing in over by the cabbage. Those were just the ones that came up on their own. Also, the majority of those doing really well. It was those tomatoes we started from seed that we're a little more concerned about. So I'll show you some of those. So this tomato here is one we started from seed, and it's one of the ones doing better. Then this one, kind of kitty corner from it here, is one of the ones that self-seeded and we transplanted over here. To give you an idea in comparison, huge difference. Now, in previous years, we've had our tomatoes that we started from seed pick right back up, and they end up catching up faster to the other ones because they don't have that shock as much of switching environments. Now, I do think we had a bit of a fluke year. I think we will always purchase the cow manure, even if it takes us a few stores to find it from here on out, because that compost with cow manure was just not the same. So it's important to just not give up when things like that happen, just move forward. Now, most of these plants that they purchased as far as tomatoes are Better Boy, and then I saw there's some cherry tomatoes as well. It's also awesome when you can recruit some help. You all right?
It's ants all over on the other cup.
Oh, stack the other ones without ants then. So we got this little guy stacking all the cups. Got someone else putting stuff in the greenhouse. Got one planting over there. I don't always insist that my kids help, but today I was like, can you just help for a little while? Then we can all go in. So they're being pretty good sports about it. I think because I don't always ask for their help. All right, tell me what you're doing way over here.
I'm planting all these plants. We had to plant them right here because there's not enough space. And then right there I found a big ant hole.
So, like he said, we finished planting the tomatoes, both sides, every other, all the way down. Both trellises are full. And there were like, what, 5 or 6 left? Maybe a few more, but he's planting about 5 or 6 by this fence. It didn't even...
96.
There were 96. I meant you got 5 or 6 right here.
Oh.
It's like I've been planting a lot of these. I am trying to help him. But this fence here is not the ideal situation for him, but hey, if they grow tomatoes, that's fine. And then I sent a few more of the tomatoes cherry, and they wanted Roma over by their fort to see if they could get them to grow over there. All right, so it's official. All the tomatoes are planted. We are on to pepper plants. And these are all bells. Matt said he did get some jalapenos, and I saw he planted them in the middle of our bell peppers. But I think we'll be able to tell the difference. I don't think it's going to be a problem. Hopefully we don't have spicy bell peppers, but if we do, oh well. So we're going to get these peppers in. I just kind of laid them out for him, spacing them where there was room. While we're out here, we're getting our first harvest from the garden for the year. So we've got our garlic coming up. And we were just out here the other day and I realized we were getting curves on our garlic scapes. So we're getting a lot of these garlic scapes picked, and then we'll probably make some pickled eggs today or tomorrow and throw them in there. That is just our favorite way to eat them. I have the last couple years dehydrated a bunch with the intention to make garlic powder, and it's still in my root cellar. The last 2 years I harvested a bunch, dehydrated them, put them in the root cellar in jars with the intention of grinding them up, but I really didn't have a great way to grind them. And I recently got a blender that has a dry function for like grains and things, so I think it's going to be perfect for grinding that up and making garlic powder. So I might try that with the ones I have, and towards the end we'll probably dehydrate some of these, but for now I think pickled eggs is the way to go. What do you think? All right, thanks to this guy, all the tomatoes and peppers are planted. What do you tell Dad? Say you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Say it loud.
You're welcome.
For putting food on the table.
Oh no. Glad you got to see us again. Bye.